Today we have Travis Castle in the studio. Many people know Travis from in the insurance world, but today we're going to talk about Vision Treynor Group and the hat you wear with Vision Treynor Group.
Absolutely.
And all of your past. I really want people to understand what Vision Treynor Group has accomplished in the past and what you have coming here in the future that I get to be a part of, and just all of the moving parts. I don't think that there's probably, and you'll speak to this, there's not very many communities that have a group like you guys have that are accomplishing the big things that you guys are accomplishing. So I'd love to hear kind of your hat with Vision Treynor Group and maybe a little history with how that got started.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. And appreciate your interest in Treynor as well and your involvement. We're looking forward to working with you on that and a lot of great things coming up. But as with any community and with any project that gets done, you have miles of road that you've traveled to get to this point. And you alluded to that. And the Vision Treynor Group is a nonprofit organization, a 501c3 in Treynor, that has been in place since 2010. And that's going on 16 years now. And so we got together initially as a group of people in town that wanted to see some change occur. We were coming off of around 2008, the housing crisis occurred. Things had slowed way down. We had lost our swimming pool in Treynor. We had lost our grocery store. So things were not going great. We had one little league field that was dilapidated, and a group of people got together in the community center on one Saturday morning at 9:00 over some coffees. And we started talking about what could we do? What could we do to try and improve the amenities of Treynor that wasn't solely reliant upon the city?
Yeah.
That was a big key.
And you've said that a lot of times, that when you look at these small communities, you saw that there needed to be a group outside of the city that kind of helped push those things along.
Yeah.
And so that's where you got your start. When you started, and our point of talking today is the subdivision, the upcoming subdivision. When you guys first met and you started talking, was that ever even a consideration, or was this hey, we're going to do some small community projects and we've just evolved to this point?
It was funny because you would think that it would be that, but it actually was pretty big picture from the beginning. We had some really visionary people in the room that had a lot of experience in the past. One of the experiences that I had was we'd lived in Coon Rapids prior to that, and I did some economic development stuff. And I was at a meeting, and we were talking to a representative from the Iowa Department of Economic Development, which is what it was at the time. And I asked her the question. I said, of all small communities that do it really well, and we say do it, we're talking about development. Of all small communities that do it really well, what is one thing they have in common? And she looked at me and she said, they have one organization that's not the city that drives change and development in your community. And I thought that was a really profound statement. And I asked her, and I followed up with her, right?
Yeah.
Like, why not the city?
It's a pretty direct answer, too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
She knew it, and she came right off the cuff with it. And I asked her the question. I said, why not the city? And she said, the city councils in small towns especially are very busy. They have a certain amount of capacity, and their capacity is usually driven toward sewer and water and trash and barking dogs and all of the things that go into a small town city council person, and they just get bogged down when it comes to major developments.
Yeah.
And she said, so that organization can be that one driver of development, and then you also aren't subject to every 4 years having a new city council person, man or woman, come in onto play, and you keep consistency with that. We got together in Treynor, as I mentioned, with that group of people in the city or in the community center, and that was one of the things I'd thrown out on the table was like, hey, if we want to do something, we should not be reliant upon the city and the city councilmen and women and all the great work that they do, because they do a ton of great work. But let's be our own entity that drives our own development, that drives our own vision, and then the city can come along and support that. And I will be the first to say that our city councilmen and men and women from the beginning, and the mayor and the city administrator from the beginning, have been a great support to the Vision Treynor Group. In our organization, and the function was to get developed so that we can drive change in Treynor for year after year after year. And so you asked about our vision, and was it this broad to begin with? When we sat down and started saying, what do we want to do? We initially did a survey, and we surveyed 1,000 people around the area, basically in the school district. And we got 432 responses back, which is very Treynor-like.
Yeah.
People respond when you ask questions. And they said they wanted 4 things. They wanted Little League fields. They wanted a swimming pool. They wanted fitness center, and they wanted walking trails, were the 4 things that they wanted. And so we took that and we said, where would we put a facility like this? Could we put it all in one location? And we identified a piece of land, went through a land analysis of where we could put it. And while we were doing that, one of the things that we really put into place was we said we want to place it somewhere that could also drive development for the city. And that development could be both business development and residential development, which all goes into place to support the strength of the city economy and the school district, which is the gem of our community.
Yeah. And you've said, you've spoken to a lot of people about this. You've given presentations. You said, when this spot was located, you had options that you could have gone clear outside of town. It would have been more cost effective,
Sure.
Buy cheaper ground away from town. But you guys were very thoughtful in the process of selecting this and making it a place where it is literally in the community.
Yeah.
So it's walkable to the school. And then now, we had, speaking to Michael Holton, the city administrator, we talked about the new road that the city provided through there.
Which is a great asset.
And just how the road itself, even though it sounds so simple, is like life-changing to the community.
Absolutely. That speaks to the city's support of what they do for us. So now we gain that synergy of what we've done as the Vision Treynor Group was, like I mentioned, starting in 2010, developing a master concept of what this youth sports complex family gathering place could look like. We found the location, as we mentioned, met all of the location criteria that we wanted of development and walkability and kids access. When I grew up, I got on my bike every time I was going to Little League practice, and I threw my bag over my shoulder and my glove was in my hand, and I rode my bike to the ball field. And we wanted to recreate that, and most people did. Nowadays, people have to get in the minivan and they have to drive to the field, and the parents have to drop them off, and they have to do something while their child is at practice. This was intentionally designed this way to allow people to have their kids gain access by themselves. And have that city center concept. Beyond having kid access and safety with that standpoint, the other thing is to create a gathering place. Was part of our vision initially as well, was to create a gathering place. In small towns, the school tends to be the gathering place, especially during the winter. But in the summer, you kind of get fragmented, and we're creating a gathering place that will be spring, summer, and fall for the city of Treynor and for all generations of people as well.
Yeah. Well, as I've been involved here, it's been about a year with you guys and learning all the things that you've done. And I think it's incredible. And I don't think a lot of people, if you are unfamiliar with Treynor, if you're unfamiliar with Treynor, you're probably unfamiliar with Vision Treynor Group. But the amount of work that has gone into this is it's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. People don't do this much work at their full-time day job for what this small group has been able to accomplish. So
Appreciate that.
I'd love for you to give kind of a timeline of Vision Treynor Group and speak to your other members of when you got started and some of the big key things that you've done.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that, and it is a labor of love that we have some really committed board members, and we started off with 10 of us, and it is weaned down to 4 of us remaining. We're 4 of the original founding members of the group. There's myself. There's Scott Relfs of Relfs Engineering. There's Doug Waring. Doug is a retired engineer from the Army Corps of Engineers, lives in town. And then there's Norm Collins, and Norm Collins with Collins Consulting Group that he's a member, a board member as well. So the 4 of us have really gotten lean in the last 8 years. But if you go back to our beginning, we had those items on our agenda. And so it went from identifying land to trying to figure out and fundraise and how we can come up with the funds to make this happen. We did a capital campaign in the community in 2012. We raised $250,000, which is a great generous gift from all the community members giving $1,000, $2,000, $100, and so we want to recognize that $250,000 was just enough to do nothing, though. And you've heard me say that before. We couldn't even grade the land for $250,000. We took that money, we sat it in the bank. And that's where we were really intentional about. We're not going to do it. And Mick Gutaw, and I have to mention the TS Bank, Mick and Judy Gutaw and their son Josh and Heidi have been really good partners with us. And they're the ones that gave us the initial seed money to buy that land. And that allowed us to buy the land. We did the fundraiser, and we couldn't do anything with it because we couldn't grade. So the advice that Mick gave me was, Travis, do it once and do it right. And I admire Mick and his knowledge and his philanthropy so much and his advice that we took that advice. And so we slowed the process down. We paused the project until we could figure out what we wanted to do. And in the meantime, the local fitness center was coming up for sale. We had that on our list as one of the 4 items. We purchased the fitness center, rebranded it to Treynor Fit, and we now operate a fitness center in town. We have Stephen and Ashley Burke are our managers. We have over 200 members in town, or 200 community members and from the surrounding areas that are monthly members to our fitness center. And so we provided and checked that item off the list as well. That happened in 2014 to 2017 was the setup with that. And then we got back to the development of the youth sports complex in 2017 and said, all right, let's figure this out. We pared it way down and we said, let's just accomplish a piece of it. So we took what we called the middle third concept. We took the $250,000 from the original community campaign. We leveraged our land and took out a loan on our land. We had bought 63 acres with the gift that the TS Bank had given us in 2011. And we took that, leveraged that land, got a loan. We then graded the middle third of that property to where we had the gravel road, the platform for the Little League field, and the soccer field.
Yeah.
We then coupled with the Iowa West Foundation. We were able to get a grant for that from the Iowa West Foundation that gave us 34% of that master concept of that middle third of the project. We brought in other donors such as the Lakin Foundation and a number of smaller donors that ended up getting us to the point to where we could build the first Little League field, the first soccer/flag football field, and our family pavilion. And so we were able to do those big things with a lot of support from a lot of our county partners, from a lot of our local partners, and a lot of effort, as you mentioned, from our board of directors.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to even capture all of the involvement. I mean, you talk about community involvement, philanthropy, all the things. When we first discussed this project, that was what was super appealing to me, was that this is a development that's not hard to market. I mean, there's such a story behind it. There's so many people behind it. And it's really, truly unique on how this has all come together. And, for people that have been out to Treynor and, where Travis is talking about the middle third, what you see, I mean, it's changed a lot since, when you guys first started, but you're going to see it change a lot more, now that most of the grading's done with the residential pieces. And, hopefully late this summer, you'll see some houses popping up out there.
That's the plan.
But, how has your board with 4 people, you guys meet weekly.
Mm-hmm.
How have you guys kind of stayed the course and been able to maintain this? Because, I mean, like I said, this is like especially right now, and talking to Scott and all the things that he's doing on the engineering side and the plans.
Yep.
How have you guys been able to maintain that over 16 years? Because life changes and, everything does.
Yeah, it's been a challenge, but being lean, there's some value to that, right? Because each one of our board members serves a specific role. We run the Vision Treynor Group like any one of us would run our business.
Yeah.
We don't spend money that we don't have. We try not to paint ourselves into a corner. We're diligent about our agenda, our weekly agendas, and we try to meet weekly. Sometimes it's a couple times a month, but we meet as often as we have. I guarantee you we're emailing and communicating weekly, and we really try to run it like and take pride in it, because what we're doing we believe is transformational. When I got on the Iowa West Foundation board, Matt Hinkes is one of my favorite people to talk to, but one of the things that Matt said was that transformational projects are not measured in days or weeks or even months, but they're measured in years. And we're looking at what we're doing as the Vision Treynor Group as transformational projects.
Yeah.
We took 63 acres, we transformed it into a youth sports complex, a gathering place for a community. It's going to house, we sold 9 acres to the Heartland Properties, and they'd built 29 homes for our community from 2017 to 2024. We've got 18 more acres we're developing, and we're putting on the market this spring, which is exciting. We've got the entire complexes now to grade for additional youth sports fields. We're partnering with the Treynor Parks and Trails Board for a splash pad, memorial trailhead for Tristan White and his family, and also Dexter's Dream Playground, an all-inclusive playground as well. And so all of those efforts and intentional pieces have really just led to the point to where we're at now. I feel like we're at the edge of the diving board.
Yeah.
We've climbed the ladder. We've fallen down the ladder a few times. We've climbed up the ladder again. We've made our way to the edge of the diving board. And I really believe that because of a number of people's different efforts and diligence and intentionality, that we're ready to jump in that water and start swimming now.
Yeah. That's a very good analogy. Could you kind of speak to, the build out of this? What's this going to, hopefully, potentially, what's this going to look like?
Yep.
We'll have additional 37 homes, but the sports complex, the walking trail, can you kind of talk about those things a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. To be a gathering place, you have to have the amenities, right? And one part of the middle third concept, besides the Little League fields, was the pavilion. We had a gracious gift from the Lakin Foundation to put the pavilion in place. And so our pavilion is more than just a concession stand. It's going to be a gathering place. We'll have a concession stand on one side of it. We have space that we will rent out to families for family gatherings. It'll be the hub for concessions and Little League activity. It's butts right up against where the splash pad and the playground will go, and it will also be the trailhead for the eventual trail that comes in. As we are right now, we're in a great position. We've got one Little League field built out, the football/soccer field built out. So those activities have been going on now for 5 years. We are now to grade with 3 additional Little League fields. If we decide to put all 3 of them in, we're in a graded position. We're seeding for that this spring. And then also the 2 subdivisions, as you mentioned, once again, utilizing funds provided by the Lakin Foundation through the revitalization of Southwest Iowa. Those funds were worked through the Community Foundation for Western Iowa to carry out that mission to try and spur housing in our area. Treynor was one of the recipients of low interest loan to allow us to build onto these subdivisions, and to build the subdivisions as they are. And so we are a market rate subdivision community as part of that project. And we're in the process of developing, as you mentioned, 37 homes. Both of those subdivisions, the East Subdivision and the West Subdivision, will flank both sides of our youth sports complex and our family gathering place.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be very walkable. It really brings that vision full circle of why we built it where we did. The installation of the city road you mentioned was a big deal, because now it brings people past that location, plus provides another artery for people to get around town with. And it's really going to be a nice place to raise a family and live and be a part of the community.
Yeah, and it's laid out very well. There's obviously you guys put a lot of thought into that. You made a good point about being market rate, and you guys are not your everyday developer. And so did you ever see yourself as wearing the developer hat?
No, we didn't. We I don't know if we saw ourselves in a lot of these pictures, but we knew we wanted to try as the Vision Treynor Group. Our mission is to take on public and private partnership projects to help build the community of Treynor, to make it a great place to live, work, and raise your family. That's been our mission since day one. And so whatever it's taken and whatever it's been needed to get to that point, whether it be, we never envisioned us running a fitness center and building a fitness center out that has over 200 members in our region that visit it every day. Never envisioned ourselves maybe necessarily being the director of all these little league activities and whatnot that go into town. And we never really developed and never really knew whether or not we would be a developer either. But what we knew we'd be is we'd be the facilitator.
Yeah.
We'd be the facilitator of transformational projects that happened in our region, because we want to be regional. We want to be good partners to communities that neighbor us. We want to be a good rural partners to Southwest Iowa, so that people have the choice to be able to say, I don't want to live in Metro Omaha. I don't want to live in Council Bluffs, but I'd like to have maybe a small town experience to where my kid can jump on their bike, ride to the Little League field, ride to the splash pad. I can go play pickleball in the facility as well. So those are all things that we envisioned, and that's what we didn't envision being developers, but we envisioned being leaders, and that's really what has happened for us.
Yeah. Well, you guys have done an incredible job. And I've, just in the process of getting this to the place where we can get it somewhat lifted off, has been a really great experience for me, and I can't be more thankful for the opportunity. And we're going to keep you guys posted. We're going to keep things coming, and hopefully have some lots for sale soon.
Absolutely. Welcome to Treynor.
Thanks, Travis.
Thank you.